White Blossom starts to work hard to cultivate in order to break through the chi refining stage as soon as possible. Her father, White Poor People, is very moved by White Blossom's maturity. Nowadays, there are many crises in the immortal cultivation world. It is better for her to endure some hardship now than to lose her life in the future. He believes that White Blossom will definitely become the most outstanding genius in the future. White Blossom has been cultivating hard until late at night. She's just a step away from breaking through the chi refining stage. But just then, a demon shadow appeared behind her, while her mother, who happened to be about to give her pastries, was there. She happened to see this scene when White Blossom was focused on breaking through the stage. Her mother had already started fighting with the demon cultivator. However, just as she successfully broke through, she saw her mother being injured by a demon cultivator. When White Poor People rushed to the scene, but it was too late. White Blossom's mother had already tragically died at the hands of the demon cultivator's sword. Angry White Poor People immediately took action and subdued the demon cultivator. Then he used the chi-destroying demon slash to cut it into pieces. But White Blossom's mother still died from excessive bleeding. And White Poor People took out a long sword and said, "Today is your birthday. In the future, when your mother is no longer around, you must use this sword to protect yourself well." Recalling the painful past, White Blossom immediately said coldly, "I will never surrender to the demon cultivator. I must use this sword to slay all demon cultivators in the world. I know that ordinary moves are ineffective against you, but don't think that's all I'm capable of. Although my father has always warned me that I should not use this move before reaching the golden core stage. But today, facing such a powerful demon cultivator, I have no choice but to use the heaven-flooding chi demon-slaying blade." Celestial Pathfinder immediately frowned and said, "This should be the Sword Sovereign Peak's ultimate move to deal with a demon cultivator." Just then, White Blossom suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Then the mystic chi chain bound no spiritual root. Then White Blossom leaped up. The terrifying demon bane slash instantly fell down. This time, White Blossom breathed a sigh of relief. The chi-destroying demon slash is a move specifically designed to deal with demon cultivators. This strike is enough to kill you. But no spiritual root, unharmed, asked, "Are you done with this move?" White Blossom immediately panicked when she saw the situation. "What level of demon cultivator are you? Why are you unaffected by anything?" No spiritual root was immediately annoyed and asked, "Is there a possibility that I'm not a demon cultivator?" However, White Blossom directly ignored me and said, "There must be something wrong with my technique. 1. Carefully recall the records in my father and the classics. Could it be that I have not yet broken through the golden core stage? So are there flaws in the moves I am using? If I have the cultivation level of the golden core stage, I can definitely kill this demon cultivator. It's all because my strength is too weak. I must break through and kill all demon cultivators." Just when White Blossom is about to be invaded by the hard demon, Celestial Pathfinder suddenly arrived by her side. Then he said sternly, "Let's end the competition here." Masked Man mingled in the crowd sneered coldly, "It's too late to stop now." After saying that, he secretly waved out a red mystic chi. Then he directly struck it into White Blossom's body. White Blossom's whole demeanor suddenly changed, as a crimson color rose up. The terrifying demon cultivator from the legend launched an attack, and the boy actually caught the demon cultivator's full force strike with his bare hands. Just now, White Blossom was hidden in the crowd, and was struck by the demonic cultivator, planting the seed of the hard demon. The obsession in her heart to defeat no spiritual root was too strong. That seed instantly spawned a terrifying hard demon, causing Celestial Pathfinder to completely explode. Unexpectedly, a demon cultivator managed to mix in at this critical moment. Immediately, he ordered the instructors to protect the students to a safe area. "I'll deal with this demon cultivator," he said. Before White Blossom could understand her own situation, the newly appeared hard demon lunged towards her. Instantly memories of her mother flooded her mind. She recalled the scene of her mother's tragic death at the hands of the demon cultivator. Although she really wanted to kill all the demon cultivators. But at this moment, her body was trembling so much that she couldn't move. Just at this critical moment, the celestial pathfinder made a timely move to help her ward off this fatal blow. And the masked man felt that the current situation was not chaotic enough. So he directly signaled his underling, Hard Demon, to take action. Countless black shadows suddenly emerged from under his feet. He saw the group of hard demons attacking. With the protection of the sandy bag's sacred body, he felt that those demon cultivators couldn't do anything to him. He decisively used the immovable Vajra technique. He welcomed all attacks from the hard demon. The mighty instructor unspoken courtesy immediately impressed a crowd of students. The keen little jade quickly discovered the clue. Instructor unspoken courtesy seemed to have fainted again. And Celestial Pathfinder knew that he must not let the students get hurt at this moment. Then he directly unleashed his mystic chi and swiftly soared into the air. He directly used his ultimate move, Falling Flame Art, in an attempt to quickly end the battle. With the large fireballs falling down, a large group of hard demons were instantly killed. However, Celestial Pathfinder found the situation below to be quite unfavorable. A fish that got away took the opportunity to attack White Blossom. He knew he was already too late to rescue. By the time White Blossom realized the clues, it was already too late. And no spiritual root suddenly appeared behind her, throwing a punch to blast away the hard demon. White Blossom frowned immediately upon seeing this and asked, "Why did you strike it? Why did you save me?" Upon hearing this, no spiritual root was stunned and asked, "Can I not hit it? Is it your pet?" White Blossom immediately felt embarrassed and said, I've always targeted you and thought you were a demon cultivator. Why did you save me?" No spiritual root, however, remained indifferent and said, "Whether I am a demon cultivator is not important. What matters is whether there is kindness in one's heart. These are all teachings from my father, and I think he is right. I think you must be a good person, so you can't be killed just like that." At this moment, two hard demons suddenly leaped up fiercely. They quietly moved towards No Spiritual Root, ready to attack. No Spiritual Root effortlessly defeated them, with just a casual use of the celestial arts, twisting and turning with ease, to quickly kill them. The Celestial Pathfinder was surprised to see this and exclaimed, "Can even that kind of thing be defeated? What an interesting kid. I also need to step up and take down these demon cultivators. Let's go!" As soon as the words fell, countless falling flames began to continuously burst out, densely attacking the hard demons on the ground. But at this moment, the huge hard demon suddenly let out a furious roar. Then, as it quickly stood up, it unleashed a terrifying slash towards White Blossom and the other person. However, No Spiritual Root once again used the barehanded blade catch to barely catch it. However, the power of that hard demon is clearly not weak. The person and the demon instantly fell into a stalemate. And White Blossom also knew that she had to join the battle. She immediately flew up and slashed a sword towards Hard Demon. At the moment when the sword chi fell, Hard Demon's arm immediately broke. Seeing this scene, No Spiritual Root suddenly exclaimed, "I didn't see it wrong, you are indeed a good person." Just then, that severed arm suddenly began to emit a crimson mist. Then the mist enveloped White Blossom. White Blossom suddenly felt weak all over, quickly reminding that the monster is poisonous. The girl, in order to help the boy detoxify, took the initiative to kiss him. But unexpectedly, they were disturbed by the hard demon. The angry boy directly smashed the light bulb with a punch. Just now, Hard Demon's severed arm actually released a terrifying toxic mist. Just being tainted by the toxic mist, No Spiritual Root realized that this poison mist is even more intense than the previous one released by one iron pillar. Meanwhile, Hard Demon abruptly drew back his long knife at this moment. Then it swiftly struck towards No Spiritual Root like a thunderbolt. At this point, No spiritual root had already been completely immobilized by the poisonous mist. But just at this moment, White Blossom suddenly rushed to his side and used her long sword to block this sword for him. But White Blossom was also hurt. In an instant, she spat out a mouthful of blood. He watched as White Blossom couldn't hold on any longer. No spiritual root promptly carried her away. He took the opportunity to ask quickly, "You can still move, the poison mist has no effect on you?" However, White Blossom admitted that she did not know either. It might be due to having antibodies from before. However, she expressed some despair, saying, "Even if the poison mist doesn't affect me, I still have no confidence in dealing with this demon cultivator." No spiritual root was suddenly stunned upon hearing this. Demon cultivator shouldn't look like this, right? At the same time, the severed arm of Hard Demon suddenly grew back, and then Hard Demon burst out with a sudden roar. It quickly waved the long knife and chopped towards the two people. Forcefully keeping them separated, No spiritual root immediately became anxious and said, "Your chi-destroying demon/move is very powerful. Hurry up and use it." But White Blossom was unable to do so, saying, "My hands are not under my control right now." Just at that moment, Xiao Fire suddenly walked onto the stage and sneered, saying, "At this moment, it looks like I still need to be the hero to save the beauty." Old Dam replied unenthusiastically, "You better be cautious. This time, I can't help you." But Xiao Fire laughed confidently. "Just watch my performance, White Blossom." Watching as the Hard Demon enters a state of rage, Xiao Fire immediately clapped his hands together through fire, and Gold Mystic Heaven Heavy Ruler is born anew. As soon as the words fell, a brand new Mystic Heavy Ruler appeared in his hands instantly. He didn't hesitate at all and directly attacked the Hard Demon. The power of this ruler is extremely powerful, easily severing the arm of the Hard Demon. No spiritual root hurriedly spoke out to remind upon seeing this situation. "Be careful. Its arms can release poisonous gas." But Xiao Fire disagreed. "Do you think I wouldn't know these? With generating fire flames, roaring dragon." As soon as the words fell, flames blazed instantly on the severed arm. Under Xiao Fire's mental control, the flames quickly spread and condensed, forming a fire long that charged towards Hard Demon. The massive Hard Demon was unable to dodge at all, and was directly hit by the attack. Xiao Fire also took the opportunity to leap up again. He used his final move, Earth-generating Metal, the world-splitting ruler. But Hard Demon promptly blocked this strike with a long knife. And it used even stronger force to counterattack, sending Xiao Fire flying. Old Dam quickly spoke up upon seeing this, advising him to just pretend to be unconscious, but Xiao Fire insisted on fighting to the end. At the same time, the long knife in Hard Demon's hand began to swing wildly, while White Blossom's face suddenly changed drastically. "This is impossible. This clearly the technique of our Sword Sovereign Peak. Could this demon cultivator be a spy from within Sword Sovereign Peak? I clearly know all the people from Sword Sovereign Peak. Who is this guy after all?" Hard Demon is about to make another move. No spiritual root quickly embraced the stunned White Blossom and used their body to block the attack. Seeing no spiritual root heavily injuring White Blossom finally brought them back to their senses. Celestial Pathfinder was completely furious, daring to harm my students at Mystic Heaven Academy. "Die!" As the words fell, a huge fiery Dharma manifestation suddenly appeared out of thin air, raising its hand and smashing down on the group of Hard Demons below. Wherever the giant palm of the fire god passed, the Hard Demons were burned to ashes one after another. But those Hard Demons seemed to be unable to be killed at all, still entwining him firmly. However, the lack of spiritual root did not pose a major threat. He quickly reassured, saying, "I'm fine, just can't exert my strength. If I hadn't been poisoned, I could definitely have avoided it. As long as there are antibodies, I should be able to detoxify." As soon as this was said, White Blossom immediately reaffirmed, "There should be antibodies in my blood. I'll cut my wrist open and let you drink." However, Heart Demon is not going to give her that opportunity. It raised its hand and cut off the two of them with another slash. Seeing that there was no time to feed White Blossom with blood for no spiritual root, they had no choice but to steal their heart. She directly grabbed No Spiritual Root and kissed it. No Spiritual Root felt much more relaxed in an instant when their lips touched. And Fire immediately felt enraged when he saw this. He fainted on the spot. And the fatty quickly took the notebook away and began writing wildly. Sure enough, my guess was correct. White Blossom had long been in cahoots with the boss of Spiritual Root. And little Jade was completely exploding at this point. Why do you dare to touch my brother's Spiritual Root? Let go of me quickly. However, at this moment, Heart Demon let out a roar and once again swung his blade towards the two of them. But his body had already recovered, with no spiritual root. He raised his hand directly towards it and struck a blow with Fatal Fist, a celestial art. After being struck by this punch, the massive Heart Demon instantly collapsed to the ground. And No Spiritual Root finally breathed a sigh of relief, slowly opening his mouth and saying, "My strength has finally returned." This unremarkable Gandalf. He actually chopped down the terrifying demon cultivator with one sword. Just now, White Blossom gave No Spiritual Root antidote to resist the poisonous mist. He unexpectedly punched through the terrifying Heart Demon, making White Blossom blush immediately. She felt that the bastard No Spiritual Root was actually somewhat handsome. And No Spiritual Root was very puzzled as he asked, "Why are you blushing? Are you badly injured?" And Celestial Pathfinder also realized that the two of them were unharmed, so he increased the firepower output to make those demon cultivators pay the price, watching his subordinates being bombarded. The masked man, however, remained unfazed. Celestial Pathfinder locked onto him in that instant. "You are the mastermind, right? Prepare to die." As soon as he spoke, the terrifying fire god Dharma manifestation reappeared immediately, and he raised his hand to strike the masked man with a palm attack. But unexpectedly, the masked man turned out to be just a decoy. Celestial Pathfinder immediately started swearing, "What exactly do these demon cultivators want to do?" At the same time, within the library of the Mystic Heaven Academy, a subtle demonic aura is quietly seeping in. The masked man laughed as soon as he landed on the ground. "Do these righteous idiots really think I would attack head-on?" He tore open a crack and summoned several small spiders. He then gestured and said, "Go ahead. Just find that thing, and it'll be enough." The small spiders immediately dispersed throughout the library, beginning to climb and search. Before long, one of the spiders brought a secret book to the man in the mask. After picking up the book, he immediately smiled. "Why didn't Mystic Heaven Academy take the trouble to hide such an important thing properly?" At this moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded. "The library is a forbidden place of the Mystic Heaven Academy. Foreigners who trespass and cause damage will be fined 1,000 spiritual stones." The masked man was taken aback when he saw who it was and exclaimed, "I thought it was someone else. How did the once famous Celestial Marsh end up becoming a mere gatekeeper?" However, Celestial Marsh replied nonchalantly, "These matters have nothing to do with you. I am only responsible for maintaining order in the academy. I hope you will restore the place to its original state now and pay the fine in full." The masked man immediately sneered, "What if I don't?" As soon as his words fell, Celestial Marsh had already rushed to him and shouted, "Then don't blame me for not warning you." The next second, Celestial Marsh suddenly chopped down the broom, directly cutting off the masked man's arm. The terrifying aura even cut through the entire secret library. Seeing this scene, Celestial Pathfinder immediately thought to himself, "Something bad has happened to the secret library." He immediately signaled the instructors to protect the students, while he went to check the situation. Watching the anxious departure of Celestial Pathfinder, little Jade couldn't help but furrow her brows and said, "It seems like the world is about to become turbulent." At the same time, the masked man who was injured maintained a calm expression and said without changing his face, "I said I would protect the academy. but he was actually more enthusiastic about dismantling things than I am. On the other hand, Celestial Marsh remained indifferent and said, "Then I will fine you another 10,000 spiritual stones for the repair cost." Just at that moment, the severed arm suddenly emitted demonic chi. The man in the mask immediately spoke after reclaiming his arm. "You old man, after all these years, you are still so unreasonable." Celestial Marsh immediately erupted with a loud shout again. "And Demon Cultivator doesn't need reason." However, this time, the masked man's arm suddenly began to demonicize. He actually intercepted the broom without a scratch. He even easily blasted it away. The man in the mask then continued to wave out terrifying demonic chi, causing the entire library to thunder continuously. Then the man in the mask spoke again. "Do you feel it? The power I have accumulated over the years far exceeds your imagination. Do you still remember back then when you were full of spirit? You almost killed me. I could only sacrifice my whole family to forcefully enhance my power to a level similar to yours. Although I successfully pushed you back that time, you also took away half of my secret book. Now I have finally gathered enough strength and have successfully retrieved the other half of the secret book. Why are you silent? Do you understand that there is an irreversible gap between us now?" Celestial Marsh chose to ignore the matter directly. "You have once again damaged the student facilities, and will be fined 20,000 spiritual stones." As soon as these words were spoken, the masked man immediately became angry. "Old man, go settle your accounts properly in the underworld." At the moment, Celestial Marsh knows that they are no match. But he has no way to avoid the attack of the demon claw. He helplessly had to draw his sword and sighed. "Old friend, I can only let you make a move again." The next moment, Celestial Marsh suddenly drew his sword and instantly cut off the masked man's arm once again. Then the sword erupted with a majestic mystic chi, forcefully pushing the masked man back. Now the masked man is completely unsettled. "Damn it." Celestial Marsh then held up an old-fashioned broken sword, indifferent. The boy simply threw the girl to the ground. He was actually implanted with a hard demon seed by the demon cultivator. Just now, as Celestial Marsh emerged with his mystic weapon Scorched Flame Mask, the man was immediately shocked to see that it was this blade. "I remember destroying this blade. Didn't expect you to actually keep a broken sword." Celestial Marsh immediately yelled out when he heard the sound. "Scorched Flame, is it really a broken sword? You'll know once you give it a try." As soon as the words fell, Celestial Marsh picked up Scorched Flame and rushed out suddenly. In an instant, Scorched Flame stabbed into the head of the man in the mask. Next, Celestial Marsh suddenly swung the knife and sliced off half of his head. Seeing the man in the mask fall, Celestial Marsh couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It should be over now. But just then, the half-head suddenly began to sprout densely packed tentacles. Seeing the man in the mask's body transform into demonic chi, Celestial Marsh was immediately astonished. "What kind of thing is this again?" Then, a cold laughter came from behind him. "You old guy are indeed not easy to deal with." Celestial Marsh immediately shouted, "What kind of evil art have you cultivated all these years?" But the man in the mask turned around and ran away directly. "Today, my goal has been achieved. Wait until I have fully mastered this secret technique before I come to see you." Celestial Marsh immediately picked up Scorched Flame and said coldly, "This time, I will not let you escape again." But the masked man laughed coldly and said, "Are you sure you want to keep chasing me? In that case, the academy you have been protecting will be destroyed." And Celestial Marsh also noticed that the gathered demonic chi behind them was ready to burst. At the moment, he didn't have time to chase after the masked man. He had to use Scorched Flame to slash his own wrist. Then he unleashed Forged in Blood Reforged in Flame. At the same time, he did not look back and said, "I will never let you go." Seeing Celestial Marsh, he chose to deal with the demonic chi he left behind. The masked man suddenly burst into laughter. "Let's see if you still have a life." And the celestial pathfinder, who rushed over just happened to encounter the eruption of demonic chi. He immediately anxiously said, "Second brother, I have sensed your presence. Are you okay?" Celestial Marsh, upon hearing this, immediately replied unkindly, "How old are you? Why are you still so irritable? If it wasn't for protecting the academy, I would definitely have killed that bastard." Celestial Pathfinder quickly helped him up and asked with concern, "Who exactly is responsible for hurting you like this?" Celestial Marsh's expression immediately turned serious. It was the great demon cultivator Sima Moon, who ravaged the 9 provinces tens of thousands of years ago. Upon hearing the words, Celestial Pathfinder's face immediately turned pale. It turned out that more than 30 experts at the soul transformation stage from the Sima Moon Order of the True Way, who were rumored to have slaughtered tens of thousands of people in order to cultivate the evil art, were mobilized. It was only with the sacrifice of over 20 experts at the soul transformation stage that they managed to barely kill Sima Moon. Celestial Marsh interrupted and said, "You should be able to see it too. He cultivates not just simple evil art but techniques and methods to control the heart demon." The face of Celestial Pathfinder instantly turned ugly. I was not wrong after all. Those attackers are all manifested heart demons. Absolutely cannot let the matter of heart demons be made public. I must kill Sima Moon. But Celestial Marsh is obstructing. Don't waste your efforts. What you need to do now is to notify the Order of the True Way. Sima Moon will definitely stir up another battle between the righteous and the demonic forces. We must make sure they assist the Mystic Heaven Academy. After all, I am no longer able to protect Mystic Heaven Academy now. These heart demons may self-destruct. Is there no problem on the side of the martial arts arena? When these words were spoken, Celestial Pathfinder suddenly remembered something. Then he flew away in a hurry, leaving behind only a sentence. "There is one more thing that hasn't been taken care of properly." At the same time, the heart demon in the martial arts field has been brought under control by the instructors. And White Blossom suddenly called out to No Spiritual Root. Then she blushed a little and said, "No Spiritual Root, thank you just now. I admit that you saved me just now. But I will still investigate whether you are a demon cultivator or not." However, just at that moment, a bright light suddenly erupted behind White Blossom. At this point, White Blossom couldn't dodge at all. However, at this critical moment, No Spiritual Root suddenly rushed forward and embraced her directly. Then he used his own back to shield against the explosion of demonic chi. However, No Spiritual Root found that he seemed to be unharmed. Just as the two of them relied on each other, 2 figures had already arrived by their side. Little Jade and Murong Chan cooperatively separated the 2 individuals by force with great coordination. And at this moment, Celestial Pathfinder stated solemnly that he wanted to inspect the body of No Spiritual Root. After infusing mystic chi into the eyes, Celestial Pathfinder was startled to discover that No Spiritual Root's body had already been implanted with the seed of the heart demon. The boy had just entered the dormitory and found the goddess bathing in his room and even changing clothes in front of him. Just now, Celestial Pathfinder discovered that No Spiritual Root was actually implanted with a heart demon seed. He gritted his teeth and said, "Sima Moon, I will definitely not let you off the hook." However, he then felt very strange. So he spoke up and asked the student, "Have you not felt any discomfort in your body?" He saw that No Spiritual Root said there was no problem. He immediately felt that something was wrong. The seed of heart demon is fatal to every cultivator. How could he have no issues at all? But he soon reacted. He was very excited and said, "How could I forget about this? You are just an ordinary person without spiritual root. That's really great." Suddenly, the Celestial Pathfinder relaxed. Without spiritual chi in the body, the heart demon cannot grow. This is a blessing in disguise. Then the Celestial Pathfinder flew into the air and announced, "Attention everyone, although there have been some twists and turns, the assessment is officially over. All students present will receive corresponding dormitory and class assignments based on today's performance. I have already input all the arrangements into your admission tickets." Upon hearing this, no spiritual root took out his admission ticket. The additional information on the admission ticket reads, "No spiritual root, Class D, student number 1, dormitory 8, bed 1. And Celestial Pathfinder once again announced that all students should return to their own dormitories according to the markings and prepare for the classes the next day." Little Jade immediately grabbed the arm of No Spiritual Root upon hearing this and said, "Brother Spiritual Root, let's go back to the dormitory now." But No Spiritual Root was a bit confused. "Does the dean assign your room?" Little Jade laughed and replied, "I'm not a student, so there's no room assignment for me. As your Tao protector, of course, I have to sleep with you." No Spiritual Root scratched his head and said, "I remember there should still be roommates in the dormitory. It's not very appropriate for us to live together, right?" This conversation happened to be overheard clearly by White Blossom not far away. Not long after, No Spiritual Root and Little Jade finally arrived at the dormitory area. The location of the number 8 male dormitory is much farther than No Spiritual Root imagined, and Little Jade was already angry. That old weirdo actually arranged you, Brother Spiritual Root, in such a remote location. Didn't he see how well you performed in the competition? No Spiritual Root quickly found the number 8 male dormitory. He found that there was light inside. His roommates should have already arrived. So No Spiritual Root directly pushed the door open and said, "I am also a roommate of room 8 in the men's dorm." But what shocked him was, immediately, No Spiritual Root turned red in the face and turned around to close the gate. But after looking repeatedly, he confirmed that this was indeed the 8th male dormitory. So he couldn't help but speculate that it must be something related to the martial arts arena that gave him this illusion. After making up his mind, No Spiritual Root pushed open the dormitory door again. The next second, he was stunned. White Blossom had indeed appeared inside the men's dormitory. Immediately, he turned around again and muttered, "I can't possibly be under an illusion, right?" At this moment, White Blossom, who had already changed clothes, pushed open the door directly. No need to confirm, this is indeed the men's dormitory number 8. Little Jade exploded the moment she saw the scene. "How did you end up in Brother Spiritual Root's dormitory?" White Blossom took out the admission ticket and said, "White Blossom, Class A, Room 1, Male Dormitory 8, Bed 2. Seeing the two people puzzled, White Blossom explained, "The reason I share a room with you is that I exchanged dorms with your original roommate. Now they should enjoy the best room 1 in the female dormitory alone." No Spiritual Root was suddenly stunned. "But why do you have to live with me?" White Blossom has already prepared a retort for this. "You are the first peer who can defeat me. I must find a way to become stronger and learn from you. Therefore, even if I have to live with you, it's no big deal." Now it's No Spiritual Root's turn to be embarrassed. After all, his real age is 2,000 years old. But No Spiritual Root still has some concerns. "It will be very troublesome for us to live together, just like earlier." But White Blossom disagreed, saying, "If you can live with that fox spirit, why can't you live with me? I will just quietly observe and not cause any trouble for you." And Little Jade, at this moment, jumped onto the bed, gesturing, "Brother Spiritual Root, don't mind her anymore. We still have classes tomorrow. Come and sleep quickly." I haven't slept with Brother Spiritual Root for a long time. And there's nowhere else to sleep here. But No Spiritual Root feels like he is being targeted by something. Shortly after discovering that White Blossom seemed to be asleep, No Spiritual Root secretly inquired, "By the way, was the person who attacked the academy today really a demon cultivator, Little Jade?" Their moves seemed different from those of my father. Little Jade's face immediately changed, and she said seriously, "Since they have appeared, I don't need to keep this secret from Brother Spiritual Root anymore. They are not just ordinary demon cultivators, they are hard demons." The girl took advantage of the boy while he was asleep. She actually sneaked into his bed in the middle of the night. Just now, little Jade informed about the existence of heart demon without spiritual root, which is created by cultivators, and is the biggest taboo in the entire immortal cultivation world. However, she found that no spiritual root suddenly fell silent. It turned out that no spiritual root actually fell asleep while she was explaining. But little Jade felt that knowing too much might not be a good thing for no spiritual root, so she quickly fell asleep too. However, at that moment, White Blossom, who was sleeping beside them, suddenly sat up and stared intently at no spiritual root. At the same time, a high-level meeting is being held on True One Peak, where Celestial Pathfinder is about to make public the attack by Sema Moon on Mystic Heaven Academy to everyone present. Everyone did not expect that the demon is still alive. He even injured Elder Celestial, and took away the sealed half of the secret technique. Now the Alliance must protect Mystic Heaven Academy. However, Celestial Pathfinder interrupted and said that we can still gather our strength to eradicate the demon cultivator. But now there is an even more serious problem. The heart demon has appeared in front of the students. The so-called heart demon is a manifestation of evil formed by a cultivator when breaking through the limitations of the heavenly Tao and shedding impurities. The more a cultivator cultivates, the more likely they are to produce a heart demon. In order to maintain the stability of the immortal cultivation world, we have sealed this secret. However, Sema Moon's appearance has brought about changes. How long can we maintain this secret? The Grand Elder was the first to speak, insisting that under no circumstances should the existing order be disrupted. Dean Shinbi, king of Lungrise Academy, also agreed with what the Grand Elder said. In that case, let us at Lungrise Academy assist in handling the matter with the heart demon. After all, as the nurturing grounds of the Order of the True Way, when facing difficulties, we should certainly face them together. The Grand Elder nodded decisively and said, "Then let's assign the task of blocking the heart demon's message to Shinbi King and Pathfinder. The others will search for the whereabouts of Sema Moon and the demon cultivator together." After everyone nodded in understanding, the meeting was declared over. However, Shinbi King murmured, "Mystic Heaven Academy, which was invaded so easily like this. How can they be worthy of the reputation of the first academy of the righteous path? Lungrise Academy will definitely become the #1 in the righteous path under my leadership. One night's time passes in the blink of an eye." This is how no spiritual root slowly wakes up. He feels that he slept really well last night. But he suddenly found out. White Blossom appeared on his bed. White Blossom screamed in an instant, "Why are you on my bed?" But little Jade climbed up from the floor in anger. "You, this scheming woman, dare to slander Brother Spiritual Root here. Clearly, you climbed onto Brother Spiritual Root's bed yourself, and even pushed me to the ground." But White Blossom loudly denies it. "Surely you were the one who brought me to bed in the middle of the night." "No Spiritual Root," on the side hurriedly spoke up. "Is it possible that White Blossom, you sleepwalked into my bed in the middle of the night?" White Blossom, upon hearing this, hurriedly waved her hands guiltily. "Not possible. I don't have the habit of sleepwalking. Today is the first day of class. Let's not be late." After speaking, White Blossom quickly put on her clothes and prepared to go to class. She saw a group of people gathering at the dormitory entrance. White Blossom immediately scolded, "What are you sneakily doing here?" Seeing White Blossom getting angry, everyone quickly turned around and ran without looking back. White Blossom then followed No Spiritual Root to the classroom. But No Spiritual Root was puzzled and asked, "White Blossom, it seems like we are not in the same class. Isn't the direction of the classroom the same?" But White Blossom disagreed, saying, "Anyway, there is not much that students can learn. It's better to observe more, which is more useful." In no time, the three of them arrived at Class D, and White Blossom decided to attend the class together with them in the end. As soon as Fatty entered the room, he exclaimed in surprise, "Spiritual Root, you're also in this class?" Classes are assigned based on previous performance in assessments. The best students will be assigned to Class A, while Class D is for the poorest performing students. No spiritual root suddenly felt disheartened. So it turns out my talents can only be allocated to the worst class. Just then, Instructor Unspoken Courtesy suddenly shouted, "Everyone be quiet! A bunch of unruly kids, be quiet during class time for me." Fatty immediately whispered, "I didn't expect Instructor Unspoken Courtesy to be our homeroom teacher." Instructor Unspoken Courtesy immediately decided to use Fatty as an example to warn others. He shouted loudly while throwing his notebook, "No whispering allowed during class!" But unexpectedly, no spiritual root caught the notebook. And then he looked innocent and said, "I'm sorry, I just instinctively caught it. I really didn't mean to contradict you." Instructor Unspoken Courtesy saw the situation and immediately thought to himself, "He's making me feel so embarrassed on the first day. This kid is indeed trouble." Then he directly announced, "You now need to guide chi based on the description above. True One Arts should be used here to cultivate chi. Since all of you have experience in chi refining, if you fail to successfully use True One Arts to guide chi into your body during this class, I will dismiss you directly." At this moment, everyone except for the one with no spiritual root feels that this is something that can be easily accomplished in a matter of minutes. No spiritual root is already in a panic. What should I do? This is a balloon that needs to be infused with spiritual chi in order to pick it up. But unexpectedly, the boy burst it and smashed it hundreds of meters high. Just now, no spiritual root officially enrolled in Mystic Heaven Academy, but unexpectedly, the first lesson was to cultivate chi. While White Blossom just took a glance at True One Arts, she effortlessly succeeded in incorporating chi into the unspoken courtesy stance, earning immediate praise from the instructor for a job well done. Upon seeing the panicked expression of no spiritual root, he immediately felt secretly pleased. This rascal, without spiritual root, thinks it's entirely impossible to incorporate chi into the body within one class time. Little Jade also quickly spoke up to comfort brother Spiritual Root, advising him not to push himself too hard. Watching no spiritual root taking a defensive stance, White Blossom quickly took out a notebook and prepared to start recording. Very soon, no spiritual root felt a surge of energy appearing in his body. But the next second, he suddenly farted loudly. Suddenly, no spiritual root felt discouraged and said, "I really can't feel it after all." Then he grabbed White Blossom's shoulder and asked, "How do you feel the spiritual chi? Please teach me." White Blossom then had to demonstrate and explain at the same time, saying, "Watch carefully. Imagine yourself as a water bottle and the spiritual chi is water. Feel the flow of water entering the water bottle." Upon hearing this, no spiritual root immediately closed his eyes and started trying. Soon, he seemed to have a feeling. But to his surprise, he still let out a stinky fart. No spiritual root immediately felt regretful and said, "Could it be that even entering the Mystic Heaven Academy cannot successfully cultivate chi?" Just then, Instructor Unspoken Courtesy suddenly spoke up and said, "Those who successfully cultivate chi should not be too pleased. Have you seen this spiritual chi ball? It is specifically designed by the Order of the True Way to train their students. The more spiritual chi is infused, the lighter the weight of the ball will become. The spiritual chi ball must be infused with True One Arts, otherwise it will become heavier. Fill the spiritual chi ball with the True One Arts spiritual chi that you have absorbed. This is your lesson for today." And White Blossom and the others quickly picked up the spiritual chi balls on the ground. Instructor Unspoken Courtesy secretly muttered, "Brat, this spiritual chi ball can't be lifted just by brute force alone." And no spiritual root had already made up his mind at this point. In order not to be expelled from the academy, he must use all his strength. It must be lifted. At the same time, Celestial Pathfinder, who was grooming his hair, suddenly noticed a flying boat appearing in the sky above the academy. He didn't expect people from Lungrai's academy to arrive so quickly. The visitor turned out to be Shinbing King, the dean of Lungrai's academy. And Celestial Pathfinder quickly landed on the flying boat. He took the lead and said, "Dean Shin came from afar without informing me in advance. I am not prepared to welcome your ceremonial visit yet. Shinbin King, however, does not think so. He dared not bother Dean Celestial Pathfinder and said, I hurried here to help only upon hearing that Mystic Heaven Academy is in trouble. Celestial Pathfinder chuckled and said, To help out, you brought so many skilled individuals, and even brought the flying boat. Dean Shin, this is quite a grand gesture. Shinbin King immediately laughed and replied, Of course, I will spare no effort to help. Besides, I also hope to learn from the Righteous First Academy. Celestial Pathfinder immediately sneered and said, This is the real purpose of your visit, isn't it? Just as the two were chatting, a spiritual chi ball suddenly shot up from the ground. In just the blink of an eye, the spiritual chi ball pierced through the colossal flying boat. Then it directly exploded near the cockpit. No spiritual root gazed at the large hole above their head. No spiritual root suddenly felt like they were finished. Instructor Unspoken Courtesy blew up immediately. What are you doing? Do you know how much money it takes to build a classroom? Celestial Pathfinder also felt that something was wrong. Is that kid causing trouble again? Then he asked with concern, Dean Shin, are you okay? Shinbin King replied stubbornly, I am the Dean of Lungrise Academy. How could anything be wrong with me? In order to help cover up Celestial Pathfinder for no spiritual root, he quickly spoke up. This may have nothing to do with the demon cultivator. It should be the explosion of the spiritual chi ball stored by our students. Shinbin King, on the other hand, coldly snorted in annoyance. What a good excuse, a spiritual chi ball exploding. In that case, let's spar with this spiritual chi ball. The girl actually asked the boy to catch her ball. But she didn't expect that the boy misunderstood. He even worried about hurting her and wanted to help her rub it. Just now, no spiritual root casually threw out a spiritual chi ball, which angered Shinbin King and led to the decision to have a spiritual chi ball competition. Celestial Pathfinder then summoned a few participants. Then it was announced that the competition would be attended by the 5 members of No Spiritual Root. However, Fatty raised a question. Choosing someone else, I can understand. They are all disciples of Yizhi in the Great Comparison. But my strength is relatively weak. I am afraid that participating will bring shame to the Academy. No spiritual root immediately reminds me of myself in my past life. Immediately he encouraged, Do not underestimate yourself. I believe that as long as you work hard, there will be results. Xiao Fire, on the other hand, sneered, If that's the case, then you would have cultivated your spiritual root long ago. And Celestial Pathfinder also explained at this point that your third eye divine art, Sky Lucky, can predict the future, giving you a significant advantage in competitions. But no spiritual root expressed that he has a question. How to compete with spiritual chi ball in the end. Upon hearing this, White Blossom immediately explained that this competition is a 5v5 confrontation. Control the spiritual chi ball and shoot it into the large gate in midair to score. During the competition, neither side can directly harm the other cultivator, but they can use spiritual chi to compete, making spiritual chi crucial for the match. Without spiritual root, the confidence disappears instantly. It seems like I can't help much in this competition. Celestial Pathfinder immediately expressed anger, saying that this match started because of you. The competition is set in 3 days. During this time, please practice a lot. Because this competition is related to the reputation of Mystic Heaven Academy, I will reward each of you with a golden Mystic Heaven medal if you win. Wintry Mix explained to No Spiritual Root. This is the highest honor for students of Mystic Heaven Academy. With this medal, you can obtain double cultivate resources. No Spiritual Root chuckled instantly. Double resources? Then wouldn't I have a higher chance of succeeding in cultivation? Then why are we still standing here? Let's start practicing now. But Xiao Fire coldly said, I am not interested in and unable to practice with people who cannot use spiritual chi. Wintry Mix is also not interested. The entire college is owned by my family. Double resources are meaningless to me. White Blossom saw the situation and had to speak up. Ignore them. The two of us can still practice. Spiritual chi ball can receive spiritual chi from multiple people at the same time. So the more spiritual chi infused into the spiritual chi ball, the more advantage one will have in combat. Why don't you try taking the spiritual chi ball from my hand first? As soon as the words fell, no spiritual root immediately rushed out without any hesitation, hoping to learn cultivate methods to become stronger through White Blossom. However, White Blossom did not intend to let him off easily like this. But unexpectedly, no spiritual root accidentally caught the wrong ball. White Blossom was suddenly dumbfounded, and forgot to control the spiritual chi ball. Xiao Firefire was even more furious, staring wide-eyed. And no spiritual root also considerately asked White Blossom if she was in pain, and if she needed help massaging. Although White Blossom feels okay. But those guys not far away are ruining the atmosphere. Soon she adjusted her thoughts. Okay, let's move on to the next training item. You just treat the gate formed by my spiritual sword as a goal, and try to practice. No spiritual root feels that the spiritual chi ball is not as heavy as he imagined. As long as he practices good shooting accuracy, it will be fine. He saw that he accurately threw the spiritual chi ball into the goal. But because he exerted too much force, the spiritual chi ball fell into a building not far away. And this ball once again hit Shinbin King. He immediately said coldly, "To actually provoke me twice in one day, it seems like they really don't take Lungbrai's Academy seriously." Seeing the disciple preparing to treat his own wounds, he immediately scolded, "Instead of worrying about me, you'd better focus on preparing for the competition in 3 days. In this competition, I have wagered the future of the Academy against that old fellow." Liang Maple immediately clasped his fists and said, "I swear that I will lead Lungbrai's Academy to victory." As soon as the other person left, he secretly vowed to himself that he must not disappoint his master, even if it cost him any price. Time quickly came to 3 days later. After a long and elaborate speech by Shinbin King, Shinbin King then performed the Grand Earth with divine arts. He created a huge spiritual chi ball competition field out of thin air. The decision on who is the champion of the spiritual chi ball competition at the first academy has finally begun. But unexpectedly, no spiritual root and others were at a disadvantage. Just now, Shinbin King used the Grand Earth with divine arts to create a dual arena out of thin air. Even White Blossom was shocked by being able to instantly create such a large arena. How immense must the spiritual chi be to do this? Just then, Celestial Pathfinder suddenly announced for the participating players to get ready. As they watched, both sides quickly entered the arena. Celestial Pathfinder instantly started praying secretly, hoping that the little rascals would perform well. The participating students from Mystic Heaven Academy are no spiritual root. Wintry Mix, Xiao Fire, White Blossom Sky, and Lucky. On the Lungbrai's Academy side, there are Zhu Devour, Li Falling Shadow, Jin Spirit Jade, and Liang Maple. And Jin Spirit Jade reminded senior brother to perform well this time, and show them the strength of our Lungbrai's. Liang Maple expressed firmly, "I will definitely fulfill Master's long-cherished wish." One Flate smiled and said, "Don't be nervous. We have trained for a long time for today." The people from Mystic Heaven Academy look like they are just going through the motions. Especially that chubby kid, looks like a complete weakling. White Blossom immediately gritted their teeth and said in a resentful tone, "The people from Lungbrai's are too arrogant." However, no spiritual root said seriously, "They do seem well trained." Wintry Mix also nodded and explained, "These people are all elite talents trained by Lungbrai's. They have long-term training experience and have never been defeated in their peers in the spiritual chi ball competition." But Xiao Firefire is very confident, saying, "What's there to be afraid of? I'm here." After saying that, he directly declared war in a domineering manner. "Listen up, people from Lungbrai's. I, Xiao Firefire, will definitely beat you today. I swear by this black mystic rod." However, Instructor Unspoken Courtesy suddenly took away his weapon and said in an unfriendly tone, "Spiritual Chi Ball competition prohibits the use of any spiritual Chi artifact." Lungri's people immediately burst into laughter. They didn't expect this group to be unaware of the competition rules. He then went to the side of No Spiritual Root to signal, indicating that he was going to watch. Instructor Unspoken Courtesy, you are also not allowed to carry these items on you. After finishing, Instructor Unspoken Courtesy announced that the competition would last for an hour with a 15-minute halftime break. The side with more goals wins. Everyone, please prepare for the Spiritual Chi Ball competition. It's starting now, with No Spiritual Root taking the lead immediately. He felt that he must seize the initiative to grab the serve. But unexpectedly, Xiao Fire stepped on him and started fighting with him. But Liang Maple took the ball away before him and skillfully passed it to Wan Flate. The chubby guy hurried forward trying to defend against it. But Wan Flate easily twisted past him. Then he directly put the ball into the scoring zone. White Blossom finally realizes that the people from Lungrise are not simple. So she picked up the ball and reminded them that the opponents are strong, so they should stop fighting among themselves. This time, let me take the lead in attacking, and you guys cover me. White Blossom feels that her spiritual Chi reserve should be the strongest among peers. No one can take the spiritual Chi ball from her hands. But the people from Lungrise suddenly set up a defensive formation. But Xiao Fire also suddenly jumped up at this moment. Then he unleashed the strange fire directly hitting those three people. The next moment, Instructor Unspoken Courtesy took out a yellow card and scolded Mystic Heaven Academy Xiao Fire for maliciously harming others. Yellow card warning. Although Xiao Fire committed a foul, it did not affect White Blossom's attack. She feels confident that she can score. As the opponent seemingly did not regard him highly, Ju Devour immediately took a bite of meat and just stood in place, allowing White Blossom to take the shot. But unexpectedly, Ju Devour instantly completed the transformation. He firmly caught the spiritual Chi ball. And a black figure also rushed out at this moment. The black figure instantly caught the ball thrown by Ju Devour. Then he quickly passed it to Liang Maple. Liang Maple immediately switched to assault mode. He forcefully knocked the Fat Man and Wintry Mix, gaining another point. Then he laughed even more smugly, saying, "I won't let you score a single point in this game." The boy faced Long, a solid and dependable goalkeeper. He finally revealed his terrifying physical strength just now, and Lungrise Academy easily scored 2 points. Xiao Fire, who was not convinced, immediately raised a question. Didn't they say that using props is not allowed? Why is he able to eat so ostentatiously? But Instructor Unspoken Courtesy indicates that food is not considered a prop. Murong-chan immediately felt somewhat annoyed. If I had known, I would have brought some food for Spiritual Root as well. Clearly, the crowd is not a match for Lungrise. They are crazily being scored against by the opponents one after another. Wintry Mix and Fatty simply can't hold their ground. The first half has just ended. The score has come to 0-10. Everyone's emotions instantly fell into despair. Upon returning to the resting room, White Blossom immediately exclaimed, "What are you all doing? Wintry Mix not cooperating with teammates is bad enough, but Xiao Fire even causing trouble for Spiritual Root." But Wintry Mix and Xiao Fire said that having such weak teammates, I can't cooperate. And their arguments were heard by members of Lungrise. Liang Maple didn't expect Mystic Heaven Academy to be so weak. Now they are almost certain to win. No Spiritual Root, who has been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. Since we're not cooperating, let's just treat it as an individual competition. No need to cooperate. Just focus on one-on-one defense and seize the opportunity to score. The halftime break ended quickly, right before the match is about to begin. Murong-chan quickly brought all his food into the venue. No Spiritual Root immediately hastened to run out upon seeing the situation. He managed to secure all of his income without missing a single penny. After both sides had taken their positions, the second half of the game officially began. And one flight from Lungrise was the first to serve. But he found that the people below were motionless. He watched as one flight charged towards the back at extreme speed. Wintry Mix directly clapped his hands to unleash the Great Desolation Earth release. One flight had no choice but to pass the ball to Spirit Jade. However, White Blossom took the opportunity to use spiritual chi to transform into a sword to intercept. While successfully blasting away the spiritual chi ball in Spirit Jade's hands, the ball possession fell into the hands of Lee Falling Shadow. However, Xiao Firefire's response was timely. When Strange Fire was used, it directly intercepted it. However, Liang Maple was the first to catch the ball. Now there is only Fatso left. He is not afraid at all. But unexpectedly, Fatso activated the third eye divine art. And no spiritual root rushed to the front of the goal at this time. Then he firmly held the spiritual chi ball with both hands. He easily knocked Liang Maple away. He used the Fat Man's third eye to predict no spiritual root and easily passed everyone. Only the lizard-eyed Jew Devourer was left in front of him. Then no spiritual root quickly gathered strength. He exerted all his strength to throw out the spiritual chi ball. Although Zhu Devourer caught the spiritual chi ball with both hands. However, the immense force attached to it directly knocked him down. With the cooperation of no spiritual root and Fatty, they smoothly secured 1 point in the end. But Lungrise quickly adjusted as well. Liang Maple directly uses an attacking formation to prepare for a quick breakthrough. No spiritual root's speed is even faster than his. After snatching the ball, he once again broke the opponent's formation. Even the goalkeeper Zhu Devourer was bumped away by him forcefully. He once again aggressively grabbed a point. Having the assistance of third eye divine art without any spiritual root is like cheating. He completely doesn't treat the opposing goalkeeper as a human. He quickly tied the score to 10-10.